Hello and welcome to UK UnMute podcast. It is our special Season's Greetings episode. We'd just like to say hi, hello to those of you who've been with us from the very beginning, and we're just here to spread some holiday cheer, some festive cheer. Before I go even further, I'm going to introduce you to my fellow co-hosts. On my right is Raquel.
Hi, Season's Greetings.
And we have Yolande.
Hi everyone, happy holidays.
And we have Angela.
Hi, hope you're doing well.
Brilliant. And for those of you who might have been following us from the very beginning, you might be aware that our season 1 wrapped at the end of October. And so we just decided to come back here and bring some cheer to you. 2020 has been very hard on all of us. Yes. And we just wanted to give, bring some light, bring some love, bring some cheer, basically, as we wrap the end of this year. And we just
want vibes.
Yes. We've made it. We remember when they said back in March, ladies, that sure, it's going to be 3 months lockdown, and then we'll all be out in the summer.
And here we are again.
and here we are. Exactly. And here we are in December. And I'm just going to go right into this episode and just bring some cheer to you guys. But just to throw some questions to the ladies and just ask, what are your plans for the holiday season? I'll start with Yolande. She looks like she has a lot of plans.
Absolutely none. And to be fair with you, I'm possibly known as the Grinch of Christmas in my home and in my workplace. I'm not a great fan of Christmas, but I have to say over the years I've done it for the sake of my family and for the sake of other people who appreciate Christmas more than I do. So this year, it's probably going to just be a stay-at-home thing. Probably lots of food. I always wish that I could go away during the Christmas where I get somebody to cook for me in a hotel room and I do absolutely nothing, but it never happens. So this year,
in the future, who knows?
Put it out into the universe.
In the universe. But this year, Christmas is really no plans, no holidays, nothing. So be at home and I will still try and have a good time, I promise you.
And Angela, what are your plans?
So I'm hoping it's going to be a gentle Christmas this year. Christmas for us is usually quite busy over the whole Christmas and New Year period. Just with sort of having family and friends around and entertaining and all that sort of stuff, which I enjoy and I love. So it's going to be a very, very different, Christmas this time around, where it's just going to be us. My family is over in England, and then nobody's going to be flying over in this climate. So it's going to be an interesting one for us. But I think I'm going to enjoy it.
Oh goodness, the family here, and you're going to enjoy them not coming over.
No. No, family, no.
That's not what she meant.
No. It's always beyond. Oh my gosh, it's always beyond our family though. It's like a big thing. And do you know what? I absolutely love it. I enjoy it. But I'm also looking forward to just a difference, I guess, this time around.
You're off the hook.
And Raquel, what are your plans?
Well, for me, this holiday season is always about worship. It's always worshipful, and it's usually a time for me to reflect a lot and to spend a lot of time with my family. We usually don't do a lot of partying. We also, I suppose because I'm not living with my family nearby, we don't do an awful lot of visiting either. So apart from, say, the school pageants, which won't happen this year, and the work due, which won't happen this year, and probably meeting up with a few friends during the period, which won't happen this year. Beyond that, it's usually pretty much time that we spend together as a family, and I think that's going to be pretty much the same for us.
Well, for myself, I really don't have much plans other than just to survive it. To come out with no extra pounds.
Good luck.
Typically I'm not usually here around Christmas time. I normally go to Florida by one of my sisters or go somewhere else. So this will be interesting this Christmas. Or if I happen to be here, then of course, it's a go to the in-laws, go visit the family type of thing. Which won't be happening this year, as Raquel has said. So I think it'll be interesting to see what Christmas, I can't really plan. You know what I'm saying? You can only just go with the flow and see how things go. But I'm sure there'll be some virtual
link-ups.
Yeah, some virtual hangouts happening just to, get to see everybody and things like that.
Yeah, my workplace is likely still going to have a virtual Christmas party because they won't give up.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
It would still be up because I always miss my workmates. And I really do miss the hangout and the quizzes that they have around the Christmas time. I never get any of the answers right. I absolutely nothing.
Terrible,
but I do miss the hangout. Yeah, so.
And I think while we're here speaking, because most of us from our backgrounds in different cultures are basically raised in the Christmas tradition, whether it's religiously or just culturally. For myself, I celebrate culturally, but just also to acknowledge other people with different festive celebrations at this time of year, like the Muslims who have the one day of Eid, the Jewish who celebrate Hanukkah, and for those who celebrate Kwanzaa, which was created in 1966 by an African American as well. That's not a religious celebration either, it's just things to celebrate cooperation between communities and things like that. So anyone who's celebrating anything special at this time of year, we wish you a merry one of that. Happy one of that. And a very festive one of that.
Well said.
Happy holidays, perhaps?
Yes. Happy holidays and season's greetings for whatever you're celebrating.
Exactly. Much love and respect to you.
Exactly. And speaking of celebrating, just to throw it back, ladies, maybe to bring up some fond memories. What are some of your favorite memories of celebrating the holidays when you were a child, Raquel?
As you're talking there, I was just back in the moment, back in our house, in our kitchen, in our family home. We always just refer to it as 62. So we're back in 62, and I can smell the sorrel wine, and I can smell the Christmas cake, full of spices and rum and all the flavors. And I think probably the best part of the memories is when it's just come out of the oven and you have to test it. Just have to test it.
So test before I take the cake.
Oh yes, there was always that. There was always that. But the real thing, when it comes out of the oven and is it moist enough and is the flavor good? And yeah.
Excellent. And what's some of your memories?
This might sound really bad, and I'm still kind of around. I probably had to be a Grinch from a long time and didn't know it. But I guess for me, fond memories just probably way back in my mind, somewhere lost. I did have a very big family, and I did like to have a lot to eat. And perhaps, to be honest, Christmas was perhaps the only time that when you weren't 18 yet, you got to sample a bit of alcohol in my house. Oh, bless the soul of my grandmother, who's now passed on. And she did make the whole village feel welcome, because Christmas in my country or my home was a thing where she always cooked, but in case somebody passed by. But for me, having grown up as the eldest grandchild within the home kind of made my responsibility a bit more than others. So my memories of Christmas growing up, I felt like I had too much work to do. It was always that thing of scrubbing the whole house till it clean, change curtains, change sheets, paint the night before Christmas, so that by the time you got to Christmas morning, you can really enjoy it. And it's not that my family didn't mean well, they did mean well. And I wasn't a big fan of gifts, perhaps, and Christmas trees, because I hated dolls. And up to this day, I absolutely still hate dolls. So when the family...
Let it out. Just let it out.
Come on, therapy time. The healing session.
No, not much charity. But when the family send down all the barrels for Christmas time, dolls. Don't forget that, right? Yes. And we got dolls. For me, it was a loud roll eyes, but I looked forward to the pretty clothes and the barrel. Just I was always a fashionista.
Loving the green.
But I really did enjoy Christmas and calling up in the village. You walk in the village and eat some of everybody's little food and cake. By the time you got home, your belly start rolling up. That was it for me.
Yes. And you, Angela?
Yeah, our home, was always, open pretty much. And we would have, so one of the things we always did was Christmas for us, unwrapping presents and all of that. Forget Boxing Day, it happened midnight. Like we would stay up. We would stay up Christmas Eve, and once it hit, all the presents are open. So we used to love that about Christmas. Then also, all of the cooking and so on. And then we had this thing, this is way back in Nigeria now, we had this thing called bisco, which is essentially a very long sparkler. I don't know if you have anything like it, very long sparkler.
Yes. We call it starlight.
And there was a song we used to sing, and you'd light it and it would be, all the children used to look forward to doing that. So that's part of the tradition.
That's a good memory.
I forgot about starlight.
Because that actually throws me back when we were way younger. That used to be part of Grand Market Night. You'd make sure whenever you went to Grand Market Nights, we'll talk about that later. You would have to buy sparklers. And definitely the night before Christmas, you'd be outside with your sparklers.
Singing, so that was part of the memory. But always remember, I remember one Christmas when my mother burnt the turkey. Sorry, Mom, it just came to mind. I just had to mention this. I don't know what happened, but the turkey got burnt. See Mom on Christmas Day, driving around every shop, and she found turkey.
Wow!
And like the Asian shops that were open on that day, so so she went around, found a turkey, and cooked that was the fastest cooked turkey ever. But she was determined that Christmas we would get
a turkey.
Kudos.
Yes.
Was that in the UK?
That was in London, That was in
Good
London.
old Asian shop.
They were open.
The memories I have growing up are basically centered around cleaning, so I can identify that, and food. Like in Antigua and probably a lot of the Eastern Caribbean islands, Christmas started before Christmas. Christmas started from December, and it was like an intense cleaning. You cleaned your yard, you power washed your house,
everything.
You took down all the old curtains. It's like a tradition because you have to go into the new year with new things,
everything
clean things. So all the aunties and everybody would go into these furniture places and get all the new bed linen for all the beds and new curtains and everything, and of course the girls in the family would be the ones who were taking down the curtains putting up the new ones. You had to move all those little ornaments off of the stands and dust.
Clean it, dust it,
clean the
spray
windows.
it, wipe
Oh
it.
my goodness. Paint the fence and it was a whole
Whitewash.
Yes. It was a whole thing. Polish the floors, everything. So your house was sparkling from December going into the new year. And there's this thing that we have in Christmas. I think Jamaicans have it too, and Vincentians. It's called the Christmas cake. We call it black cake.
We do.
Where it's made of a lot of fruits and a lot of rum. If you're from the Caribbean, rum is a part of the culture. Yes. And the thing behind the Christmas cake or the black cake, you soak that from the year before for the next Christmas.
Set that thing on fire.
Exactly.
And similar to Northern Ireland Christmas cake.
Christmas pudding.
Christmas pudding. Yes.
It's similar, but I don't think they use rum. I think they use other spirits. Brandy or something like that.
And we're talking like 75% proof alcohol and 100% proof.
100%.
Yes, golden rum we're putting in that.
Did the children get to eat that?
Yes. But the children only got a little piece. One piece is all you could manage, and you just sleep out the whole Christmas.
I do have a Jamaican friend here whose mom is here generally every Christmas and makes it and gives it to me. I look forward to it every Christmas. So Denise, if you're listening, I'm waiting for my Christmas cake. And I have to suggest in terms of my country, every year, I don't know if this happens in your countries as well, and we might talk a bit more about culture, but there's this thing where this particular store called Jack's Enterprise, where they would you probably shop at the store and you put your name on the receipt, whatever, and you get a random phone call, but you have to be prepared during the Christmas to say, shop at Jack's, it's Christmas. You better anytime your phone rings. So you better know that no matter who's calling, just in case it's Jack's, shop at Jack's, it's Christmas, because you can win any amount of gifts. So this is exciting for a lot of people at home.
Great promotion idea.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, for us, the food wasn't just about turkey and roast potato. I mean, like it wasn't complete without jollof rice and various other things, pounded jam or whatever. So we've kind of brought that with us as well. Like you're not going to come to my house and just get a traditional, you know, it's not complete until you have the, you know, the
your
other.
culture.
You know,
And how many different meats would you have on yours?
Oh, so you'd have the turkey, you'd have some chicken, you'd have some fish, probably different types, cooked in different ways. Then you have the beef. I mean, it would just be an assortment.
It's like a feast.
In my island, in Antigua and Barbuda, and I think in St. Kitts as well, salted ham is a big thing at Christmas time. And we're talking about the salted ham that is wrapped in a cloth that's hanging from the ceiling in somebody's shop. That's waiting for just Christmas time. And you have to soak that for ages to get that salt out and then cook it. So you normally will have like, funny enough, Eastern Caribbeans are not too fussed with turkey, but because it's supposedly a Christian, a Christmas thing, people would have it. But it's mostly, so the one turkey, and then the salted ham, and then chicken, and then curried goat, and things and all that kind of stuff. And we had a thing called rice pudding, which I won't go into, but something like haggis.
In my 10 years in Northern Ireland, or in my entire life, believe it or not, I've never made a turkey or never had a turkey. The only time I've had a turkey or piece of it is if I've gone to somebody else's house. My house still imports, goes on Amazon, calls my cousin in America, wherever, and we still get a ham. And the salted ham is probably very popular in the Caribbean because it goes well with alcohol. Salt cuts the alcohol. So you have to have your salted ham when you're consuming all that alcohol, cake and everything else. But I know, speaking of culture, Tassa, for me in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I know during the Christmas season we have a big festival called 9 Mornings, where people wake up 9 days leading up to the 25th of December at the early hours of the morning, 4 a.m. and you go to town. Lots of horns and music, and everybody will be shouting at the neighbor to wake up, and you travel to the city for parang music and food. And this year I've seen they've advertised something called CID, which is Carnival in December, because they missed out the opportunity to have Carnival in July. So it's nothing but a big excuse for another party.
4 a.m. though.
And you get up at 4 a.m.
It's bright already.
And then after you've had your parang, everybody head to the beach and you're gonna have a dip. So that's 9 days of a Christmas bath leading up to Christmas morning. And probably you're already drunk because 9 days of consuming alcohol, surely you're already very drunk. And so that makes me kind of miss the Belfast Christmas market this year.
Yes.
Because it's a kind of semblance of perhaps some of the setup of the food stalls that I would see in my country. So Christmas market, we miss you.
Christmas market reminds me of what I mentioned earlier, which is Grand Market Night. And well, actually, it wasn't just Grand Market Night, it was Grand Market Day and Grand Market Night. And that was traditional in Jamaica, and I think in other parts of the Caribbean too, that people would have kind of saved themselves up. They would have bought presents, but they would always leave enough money to be able to go to Grand Market, purchase things there, and also save some money for Grand Market Night. Grand Market Night would be the night where you put on all your finest clothes, everything that you've bought new, and you are showing it. You are bringing it. And that's the night when the children would normally go and get their sparklers and their little fifi whistles.
The whistles,
and you're out in the streets, and you're in the streets till probably morning time comes, and lots of noise, lots of hustle and bustle, lots of excitement. Probably one of the few times of the year that the children get to do all of that. So, and of course, straight after that, you go home, probably manage a small rest, out to church. First thing.
Religious.
Yes. In Antigua, Christmas Eve, all stores are open until midnight. So it's always a thing for people to get the last minute gifts, and for the young people to just hang about in town and stuff like that. So I do remember that. And there's one particular toy store that every Christmas Eve, every Christmas season, they had the biggest, if you ever think about any Christmas movie with the neighbor with the biggest decorations, lights in the yard, that would be that store. And people would just come, especially people from the countryside, would come into town and just stand in the street and just look for hours.
Same in mine as well.
So that's one of the fun memories. But moving on from what Christmas was like, or what the celebration was like when we were young, how do you celebrate Christmas now as an adult? Maybe some of us with our families of our own. Are there any differences with how you celebrate Christmas now to how you used to celebrate?
So for us, it's a mixture of things. So yes, there's the celebration, but we're always conscious of, so in our community, you would have people maybe who are sort of international students and migrants, and some are here without their families. So we're always very conscious of that. And so when we have people coming over, we tend to invite people who we know that maybe, you know, they're not here with their families and so on, and just have a wonderful time together. But we also very much use it as a time to reach out. I think that's one of the things that I love about Christmas. And, you know, people have their own, some people have issues around the fact that, oh, well, is it really that season that, you know, for Christians, for example, the whole, it's celebrating Christ's birth, is it really the season was born? You know, there's some issues around that. But for us, we see it as a season generally when people are very open, very generous, very caring. And so we use that as an opportunity to do things like food hampers, shoe boxes, and just kind of reach out, bearing in mind that, you know, there are many people who, for them, Christmas is actually a very, very difficult time, either because of loneliness or whatever. So in our sort of celebration, very mindful of that wider picture and that community thing. So that's always a very big part for us of what Christmas is, yeah.
I mean, I suppose to me, when you think of being a child versus being an adult now, there's some differences. One, I now have a husband, and I have a husband who loves Christmas, so we're completely the opposite. He's the kind of person that will wake up, perhaps put on his Santa suit and go ho ho ho, and wait to open the presents, and I'm like, really? Yeah. I have a big smile, and so I've learned over the years to kind of cope with that. But like Angela kind of hinted at it, for me, I spend a lot of time during Christmas thinking about people who might be going through grief, who would have lost loved ones and really can't probably enjoy Christmas. And even this morning I was listening to something about ambiguous loss, and they were talking about that's where, you know, if a family member has disappeared and you're not sure if they've passed on or still out there somewhere. And so for some people, they're probably waiting for the best Christmas gift for that family member to turn up at home. And so I spend a lot of time kind of like thinking about that. And I personally, as an adult, you'll be the one now spending the money. Whereas when you were a child, they bought gifts for you. So I do spend. I do like to give people gifts, but I'm not really big on the whole commercialization aspect of Christmas. So when you're an adult, I suppose you spend a lot more time thinking about things that affect the world, maybe bigger, you know, social considerations, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay. In terms of me, I have the exact opposite situation. I'm the one that's like, and I culturally celebrate Christmas, not religiously celebrate. I just like the idea. I like giving gifts normally, any random day. So Christmas is just like, woo, you know, I'm ready. So I'm the only one who, when I'll be like trying to pull the Christmas tree up the roof space, is like, it's too early. So I was patiently waiting for December 1st so I could do my thing in peace. So yes, I'm that person that will be blasting the music and all of this stuff and be, you know, wanting to buy gifts and what can I do, whatever. But nobody will be getting gifts this year. Might have some masks, some sanitizers, maybe a piece of rum cake.
You know, I am at the point where I am reevaluating a lot of the things that happens at Christmas time, and just, you know, taking stock of some of it and thinking, why do I have a tree? Because
oh boy.
Yeah, because what does it have to do with Christmas?
That's a whole
other conversation.
Yes.
Why do I have boughs of holly?
Nah. Yeah.
Why? But in my house, one of the things you guys probably know, I'm married to somebody from Northern Ireland. So it is a real thing that we have to share culture and blend our cultures. So I can't just say, oh, it'll be rice and peas and ham, and you know, it has to include the turkey and
I was about to say, I'm not cutting you, but because you mentioned incorporating culture, it actually is leading me into my next question. I was going to ask, are there any, okay, we've identified that we probably follow some traditions from when we were growing up, but do you create your own traditions now? And also, how do you incorporate your culture into Christmas, especially in another country as well? So how would you incorporate your Jamaican culture, Vincentian, Nigerian, etc.? Since you started, I'll just, you know, let you
so for one, it's definitely going to be the whole thing of what kind of food is on the table.
Yeah, for most of us.
It has to reflect the things that we enjoy. So from my husband's side, it will reflect the things that he enjoys, which includes turkey. And for me, it will include my rice and peas, my oxtail, yes, and other forms of, other types of food. I am at a point now where I am becoming more concerned about my carbs. So I am torn about the Christmas cake this year. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. But I'm torn about my Christmas cake this year. Am I even going to make one? Or if I'm going to do so, am I going to do it differently? I'm having to think about that. But I mean, yeah, so it'll be the foods. It'll also be this whole thing of, I don't know about you guys, but a certain unexpected visitor did not turn up in the Caribbean. But he turns up here.
Okay.
So that has been,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, Yolande, yourself?
I'm a Grinch, but I'm lost. But anyway,
yeah.
I suppose for me, the major thing that is really culturally significant, it's the music, and it's not initiated by me, I have to say. I've made that very clear. It's my husband. You would hear these old Christmas music from back home, and it's nothing about Christ and hollies and berries. It's about I love me Christmas, bad, and all the parang and all the madness you will hear every single day leading right up to Christmas.
And you just love it.
Oh yes, absolutely love it.
So is that a new tradition, or is that something?
No,
that
it's a remnant
Okay.
of our culture. And so in my home, there aren't any new traditions, I would say, other than like having to really adopt the clause.
Yes.
Over the years for the benefit of my children. And I kind of remember, Angela, a year or two ago when they decorated Belfast, and I remember your group sang and performed,
Yes.
and
Yes,
they did
that was
that, and that
lovely.
was quite nice to actually get to travel into Belfast to witness different groups performing.
2018,
Yes.
that was.
Yeah,
yes.
2018. I think it was absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
That really reminded me of some aspect of my culture. Like I said, the same with the Christmas market reminded me. So that was beautiful. Yes, not much of a new tradition from my side of things.
Okay,
Yeah.
Angela?
Yeah. In terms of incorporating culture, I think really for us it is really just in the food and in the way that everything also, just calling the family from, from England and beyond and so on. But for us in our home, we do Christmas our way. So we don't do Christmas trees and all of that. And my children don't have an issue with that. They understand that it doesn't really have anything to do with this.
Yes.
So we don't get involved. It's not an issue. So we kind of do it our way, and we understand that we do it our way. But again, it's about the engagement. You mentioned the singing there. That's actually become a bit of a tradition for us. We did the one you were talking about was 2018. We did another one. In fact, we did two last year. So we did like St. George's Market,
All right,
and from
lovely.
there to something else as well.
Yeah.
So that's become a bit of a tradition
Lovely.
for us as well. Yeah.
Do you know, can I just stick in? I know that we've talked about it, so rather than we do it at the end, I know we've talked about some of the people who might be experiencing grief and loss during this time of the year. So we just want to, Tass, if you help me, we want to reach out to people and make sure that we signpost them to appropriate agencies that could provide support. I know what we always say is to visit your GP. There are other agencies.
Yes, if there's anyone who is feeling, if you're alone, whether because of the pandemic or you just, you're living on your own and you're struggling this Christmas, we suggest that not only contact your GP, but you can also contact Lifeline on 0808 808 8000. 0808 808 8000.
And then, of course, there's a thought about the people who are going to find Christmas really, really hard.
Yes.
I mean, I know, for instance, in the Caribbean, there have been significant climate issues.
Yes.
So there
Yeah.
have been floods, and there have been people who have suffered from landslides and their whole
Very much
property.
so. Very much so.
I'm very conscious that there will be
Yes.
people there who are struggling and
Yes.
suffering during this period.
Yes.
And of course, we know here about the homeless. We know about so many people who are just finding
Yeah.
this season extremely difficult. So for me, I can't do Christmas without thinking about people like that. And I'm really glad to be part of a church which is able to reach out to people like that, provide Christmas boxes and food hampers and even just, you know, the phone call and, you know, just befriending people.
Yeah, and just to give my final thoughts as well in terms of any traditions, new or old. I don't really have any old traditions that I carry on other than, as Raquel and I think Yolande mentioned as well, and Angela also, about the food. Food is one thing that's not going to change. So wherever I live, wherever I go, I cook my traditional Antiguan dishes or Caribbean dishes at Christmas time. So that's something. I have no new traditions. I know when I was living in Canada with my sister, she had a tradition that I liked, whereas at midnight on Christmas Eve, you could open one small gift.
Aren't you too old?
Yeah, no,
We do that
no,
too.
no,
Yeah.
you're never too old for a gift. So every at Christmas Eve, we'd open a gift at midnight, and then we'd open the rest the next day. So I always like that idea.
Interesting.
Yes,
Very good.
and just moving right along, just to wrap up the whole thought about Christmas and the holidays. What are your top 3 favorite memories from, you know, Christmas or growing up? Yolande, I'll start with the Grinch.
Seriously?
Yes, start with you.
Right. Okay, back to the fun stuff. Favorite things when I was growing up, and perhaps now. So I'm trying to see over the decades of my life, if there are 3 favorite things somewhere in between. I would have to absolutely still say, as an adult, I enjoy getting new clothes as much as I did when I was a child. That's the absolute only thing I want under the Christmas tree. I don't like perfumes or anything. New clothes. Got it? If you're listening. New clothes. And I absolutely love to see my house sparklingly clean. As much as I hated it when I was growing up, it still has done something to me. It's just something that it's got to be clean, it's got to be beautiful, and it has to have flowers. Flowers must be there. Without red flowers somewhere in my house, I don't have Christmas. The final thing for me, honestly, and it's probably just a bit sentimental and not, I just still love to make sure that my adult children are home. They've got to come home. And for the last 5 years, I've had to wait for my son to come home from England every Christmas and to be constantly asking, are you buying that ticket? Are you buying that ticket? And so whenever he comes home and the plane lands, it's like, oh, beautiful. That's it.
Christmas made.
Okay, good. And Angela?
Yeah. I remember one Christmas when we started this. This was when I was still growing up. I was probably maybe in my early 20s or so. And that Christmas we started to just cook, and we decided to take it out to, there was a homeless shelter. So my mom, we cooked big pots of jollof rice, and we got the little, you know, those little plastic containers, takeaway boxes, and we piled it up, we put it up in a cooler, and we literally just drove around the street looking for anyone that we could give that to on the street. And we kept driving and driving and driving, and this was from Croydon, and normally you would see, but this Christmas we weren't. So we just kept going, and we finally got to sort of the city of London, and there was this shelter that, you know, people had gathered in. So we went in and said, we've got something. I absolutely loved the feeling that gave, and we kind of carried on with that from there on. And then what else? I remember there was one Christmas where, don't judge me now, I was maybe 9, 10, and I got the most Barbies ever. I don't know, everybody just decided that year that it was going to be Barbies. I was so happy, Barbies, don't judge me. But at that time, that's what you did. And then I think the final memory would be, I think the first year when my family came over. So we'd already moved here now, Northern Ireland, and my family came over from England, and that was the first time that they kind of came for Christmas, and it was just lovely just to have that. Yeah.
And your 3 favorite memories, Raquel?
Oh, it's hard. Well, one of the things would have to be just visiting. We lived at number 62, as I mentioned before, on our road, right? So there are a good number of houses to visit on the way. And I can just remember us going down the road or round to different people's houses, and usually you're carrying a bottle of sorrel wine or a bit of cake for this person, that person, the other person, and of course they're giving you some back and you're giving to somebody else, and just, you know, people just came to visit, just to sit and talk. Just, you know, they didn't have an agenda, didn't have any reason, they just came to sit and talk. And of course, your mum would have them on the veranda and she would shout out to you, you're in the kitchen, make Mrs. So-and-so a glass of sorrel wine there. And you would have to come and you have to get it right. Make sure it's on a tray. Make sure you've got all the things that all your brought up see would have to be on display, and you know you'd entertain. But of course it was also fun because you'd stand in the background and hear all the grown-up conversations.
Oh
you
my!
know?
Yes, always a
and
plus.
just enjoy all of that. Another very fond memory for me would be when we came to live in Northern Ireland, and I remember one in particular where after we had eaten the Christmas meal, we came outside and there was enough snow to make 6 snowmen.
Oh my goodness.
And we piled them all out there. We made 6 snowmen and we took photographs to the max. So that was lovely. I also remember the time, it wasn't actually, well, I was going to say it wasn't that long ago, but it was probably the turn of the century, 1999, when for the first time since I moved away, all of my sisters and myself and all our families were together for Christmas. Now, don't judge me. I sinned that year. We were atrocious with commercialism. We bought more presents than anybody should ever buy in their lifetime. And my sister said at the end of that year, she actually made a vow to God, I'm never doing that again, ever. If ever I buy that many presents, it has to be for people in need. Never doing that again. And when she said that to me, I agreed with her, but there was a part of me that recognized that this was probably a throwback to the fact that we had not been able to celebrate with each other and to buy each other presents over the years. So we were probably kind of overdoing it. But definitely, I now, catch myself about the commercialism, and I don't want to go there.
Excellent. In terms of me, 3 nice memories that I have. Well, one is I kind of grew up as an only child after the age of 8, but I have so many cousins by the dozens, a lot. And one of the memories that I enjoyed was going to this particular uncle's house. He has 11 kids.
Ooh.
Yes. At the time when I went, he didn't have 11 then, but he was well on his way. And I went there and I spent the Christmas season. It happened to be on a weekend, so I spent that there. And my aunt was making the Christmas cake, the black cake. And we were just up with my cousins telling ghost stories, just having a good time, trying to wake up for Christmas with the adults. And of course, nobody made it, waking up and finding a foot in your head. And all that. So that was a fun memory for me. Another one is, just basically seeing the joy of kids when they're opening up their presents. To me, I'll just sit back and just watch the kids open their presents and rip through that paper. That's the joy for me. And another memory that I had that's quite recent was I have an elder sister on my father's side of the family, and I spent Christmas with her for the very first time. I think that was in 2017 or 2018. So that was enjoyable for her because I'm the last of all my father's kids and she's the first. So we call each other the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. So we had an Alpha and Omega Christmas, and she's one of those people who goes all out. Her yard, the reindeers in the yard, the Santa Claus, every bush, anything that can hold some lights, has lights on it. And the Christmas tree, and the same thing she does with the gifts for her grandkids and everything. So that was a very nice memory for me as well, my very first Christmas with that.
I suppose, Taz, maybe it's a good time to think of all the organizations and agencies that make an effort to reach out to the most vulnerable people within our communities. And I know Angela talked about your PVN food hampers and things like that.
Hampers, so our church does food hampers, and shoe boxes as well
Yeah.
for the homeless, so the hampers for families and shoe boxes for the homeless. Yeah.
And give the name of your
There are
church.
other,
PVN Church, based in Belfast. So
Otherwise
we
known as Place of
Place of
Victory
Victory
for All Nations.
good advertising. And I know there are others in Belfast, like the Welcome Organization. They would do a lot with, in terms of providing hot meals and warm drink when it's really cold to the street homeless. In the past, there might have been NICROS, the Northern Ireland Community
There's
for Refugees
Women's Aid,
and Asylum Seekers.
Yes, and Women's Aid,
St.
and
Vincent de
and
Paul
St. Vincent de
do
Paul
hampers
as
as
well.
well.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
And then there are the food banks and
Yes.
other organizations.
Life Hub
Yes.
is one as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
Christian Fellowship Church has already done their collections or are still collecting to reach out to people
Yeah.
during
Very
the
good.
Christmas
And I'm sure Salvation Army normally
I'm sure
does
they
a
do
Christmas
as well.
thing as
And
well.
there's probably many others out there, but we just want to recognize and thank a few of them. I know my workplace, for example, we would do collections amongst the staff, and we would make a hamper and give to the closest hostel to our vicinity, and that's usually Hosford House. But I'm sure there's many other groups, organizations doing that, paying it forward.
Yeah.
So
and we
really,
thank you on
And
behalf
thank
of
you.
the people that
I've heard
you're
about
doing that
Donnell
for.
Mill this year. They're doing a new initiative. I think you pick a description of their Christmas tree. So
Oh.
it might say family of 4 or, homeless, whatever it is, the description of the tree, and you make up something. It could be a gift or whatever, and
Yes.
and deliver
Okay.
it for that person, and you
Yeah.
bring it back with the label and they
Yeah.
distribute it, which I think
And
is
for the
fantastic.
individuals who are not a part of any organization, but maybe know an elderly person on their street or someone in the neighborhood, and they go and give up, of
Yeah.
themselves from their family to that person as well. Thank you so much. And
Yep.
just to bring an end to this festive season and this festive episode, just to end on a positive note, any positive thoughts going forward for 2021, what you would like to see, ladies? Angela, let's start with you.
I have 3 words. We will rise.
That's right. That's right. Yolande,
Whew, deep thought is required here.
would you like me to come back to you?
Anyway, honestly, for 2021, I just want to be able to love, give love, get love. It's just so hard when you're existing, when you feel like even in your own home or in your circle of work or wherever that you feel like you're being, cast aside or shunned. But to me, love conquers everything. And so if in 2021, we could just remember that simple thing is love your neighbor, do unto your neighbor as you would have them do unto you, I think we'll all be happy.
Excellent.
Very good.
Raquel?
I think I'd probably just say there is hope. There is hope. No matter how bleak things are, or no matter how bad 2020 was, there is hope. There is hope.
Yeah, I kind of echo your sentiments, Raquel, and just in terms of, to me, every day above ground is a good day, and it doesn't make sense complaining about things that are out of your control. So just create your normal as you go, as you go about your day, and stop, thinking back to how things were. We don't know what tomorrow holds, but as long as you have today, you have hope. So, just be positive, be hopeful, and incorporate love, show love to yourself, as well as you're showing it to others. Remember to show it to yourself as well. So that would be my hope for 2021, and that, the pandemic goes away. Yes.
Show
And then
love
next
to yourself, show
yes.
love to others. There's hope, and we will rise after it all.
Yay! Happy
Excellent.
holidays,
Yes.
everyone!
Would you like to send any season's greetings, any wishes to anyone
Oh
special?
no, seriously.
So,
Give some
We've
season's
been here all
greetings.
day.
Let's get
Shout out to my family, love
That's
you all.
right.
Shout out to my church. Shout out to everybody out there who's just doing their best to keep their head above water. Keep in there. We will rise. All the best.
And I have to say happy holidays to my workmates. Guys, I miss you. I talk about you so much. They're also one of our biggest group of fans.
Excellent.
So
Thank you.
we love you guys. I love you. And I also want to say, Denise, I did talk about that cake. If you're listening, I did talk about that cake. I'm looking forward to this year. So shout out to Denise and her family all the way up in Dunmurry. I love you. I miss you in church. I really do miss hanging out with my sort of church friends as well. And there's two big friends I have in the UK, mainland England, that I have to send love to. 3, in fact, sorry. And if I forget any of you, please don't kill me. But I have to send love definitely to 3 of my closest friends, Sesame, Mikesh, and Pat. Girls, you know I love you and I depend on you for strength. And last but not least, my family, my husband. Christmas, I'm gonna smile, I promise you.
To make mine easy, I am going to just use groups because I am very likely to forget important people. Yeah. So I'm going to say, first and foremost, Lord, thank you for an opportunity to celebrate you this Christmas. Secondly, to all my family, both my immediate family here and my family all over the world. Yes, the ones in Australia, Chicago, USA, wherever. All of my family all over the world, Nigeria, etc., all over the world. Love to you all, and to all my friends, both here and abroad. Love to you all. Enjoy the season. Find just even one moment to enjoy.
Excellent. And for myself, I'd just like to say season's greetings, happy Eid, happy Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah to everyone, to my family and friends in Antigua, Canada, US, UK, everybody everywhere. Have a wonderful season. All the best for 2021. And thanks for watching our podcast.
And come back next year for season 2.
You can find us on social media across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at UK UnMute. We're also on YouTube at UK UnMute. And you can find the audio versions to our podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and iTunes. Thanks so much for watching.
Happy
Season greetings.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye.